I promised myself, this year I will try do more reviews of interesting and less reviews of boring cars. Okay, so what am I doing here with a white estate? This white estate is a Kia Optima Sportswagon. Sportswagon means an estate or a station wagon depending on where you're from. And before you fall asleep, let me just say, this is a GT with 245 horses. Under normal circumstances, you're probably thinking about a 163 horsepower petrol Optima, or maybe a reasonable motorway miles munching 1.7 diesel 141 horsepower. But if you want a bit more from driving, GT is the way to go. From the beginning, Optima was a visually interesting car, but the new generation, especially the estate, stands out from the competition. Remember what Korean cars looked like a decade ago? There is no shame parking one of these in your driveway now. Prices of the Optima estate start at €26,000, the same as Mazda 6 or Skoda Superb, slightly cheaper than the Passat or the new Insignia. What does Kia have to charge so much? Sat-nav, for example, standard. Reversing camera, standard. Automatic wipers with rain sensor and climate control, standard. One trim level up and you get lane assist, traffic sign recognition, heated seats, heated steering wheel, parking sensors, and then it only gets better, so Kia is actually value for money. Kia makes a good first impression. Behind the wheel, you feel like someone thought about everything, like someone planned everything. So I take my hand off the wheel and here's the gear lever. It just falls on the gear lever, and around the gear lever are a bunch of buttons, which, yeah, there is a bunch of them, so I have to take my eyes off the road to actually see what I'm pressing. There are heated and ventilated seats, automatic parking, 360 degrees camera, and there's also the drive mode button to switch between normal, eco and sports mode. Before I get to the sports mode, I have to admit the 245 horsepower Kia Optima feels quick. Feather the accelerator even in eco mode and it picks up speed instantly. It wants to fly. A good first impression. Take this car for a test drive, 2 blocks around the dealer, and you feel like a racing driver. Good thing Kia finally dropped the flex steer button, which, as far as I can tell, did nothing. Now the steering becomes heavier as you drive faster. And again, good first impression, because small input is enough to make the car change direction. Steering may be a bit light, but the Optima feels agile. The problem is that it's all just a good first impression. If you're planning to buy an Optima GT to thrash it around country roads, think again. Sure, 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 7.6 seconds is more than reasonable. And in sports mode, there is a V8 sound pumped through the speakers. Okay. But the steering, which may initially feel very responsive, well, that's only a good first impression. So here's a corner. Initially, the steering is very good, but as the corner tightens, the steering just doesn't keep up. It's not as progressive as you would expect. So you end up braking mid-corner, which is not a good idea. Suspension is light years better than what it used to be in old Hyundais and Kias. Dumping on single bumps is very good, but when there are many bumps, it's clearly out of its depth. Not terrible, but not as good as in a Skoda. And then there's fuel economy, or rather lack of it. Kia Optima GT doesn't have stop and start, which may be good news to some of you old school drivers. I get it. But even Kia claims this car will do almost 12 liters per 100 kilometers in urban cycle, which is a lot. Kia also claims this car should do 8.2 combined, but I never managed to get it below 10. Good thing there is a 70-liter petrol tank. Kia has a lot of driver aids. Adaptive cruise control works well, but lane assist is not as good as what the competition has. It keeps getting lost, beeps a lot, so I just turned it off.
Driving position seems sporty at first. I switched to Optima from a Skoda Octavia, which is almost as big, but also felt much roomier. Kia's cockpit seems to be tighter, more driver-focused. But after a while, it turns out I'm still sitting too high. This is actually the lowest setting of the electric seats. Good thing there is seat memory function, so that's always convenient. And I guess it's easy to get in and out.
But Optima Sportswagon is an estate after all, and it's not a bad estate. The 552-liter boot is somewhere in the middle. I like the luggage arrangement system. There is storage under the boot floor, which will fit the boot cover among other things. You can also fold the seats from back here, and then you get flat cargo space. There is good legroom in the back, headroom is average. I'd skip the panoramic roof if you're planning to carry taller passengers. There is a couple of cup holders in the armrest, and you can fold the middle part of the backrest to carry longer items. There is also good-sized door bins, AC vents, USB ports.
Kia Optima Sportswagon GT makes a great first impression. It looks good, it feels sporty in everyday situations, but when you want just a little bit extra, there is something missing. The question is, how often do you want more from a car? Because for 42 grand, you've got a car which is fun to drive 80% of the time.
And what do you think about the new Kia Optima? Let me know in the comments section below. Share, rate, subscribe, watch more of my reviews and join me for another episode every Friday. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.